Welcome to the Wake.Show. As everybody knows, a show needs an intro. This is that intro. Fisher in the foreground, Sam in the back. We got started really late today. Thank you very much, Single Source Insurance. Hey!
12 show's over. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much for stopping by today.
Thanks for joining us.
How you doing, honey? How you doing, Drew? I didn't bring in the Wake.pups today. I didn't bring them in. They are at home only because I have I'm having lunch afterwards, or meeting up with you never listened. You were too young. Or wait. Let's see. How old were you have been the last one? I was at 97X. That was.
I listened to you at 97X.
Did you?
Yeah.
When you were in middle school. When you were in middle school.
Yeah. Oh, when I was sad listening to alternative, and I still am listening to alternative. I love 97X.
Oh, how you doing, Matt? Nice to see you this morning. I'll be out at Mass Trees on a Thursday night for hosting trivia. If you want to come out there, 7 o'clock at a Blind Pass. But anyway, Danielle, who was one of the producers of the show at the time, along with Seth, she and I are meeting for lunch today. It would be good to see her.
Does she still work there or no?
She has her own morning show now. She is I don't know if it's a show, because they're really music intensive.
Yeah.
But she does mornings now at Magic 94.9.
Oh, okay,
which
cool.
is the same company. You kind of remind me of her. Not looks or anything, but you both seem driven, or you're both. I don't know you that well yet. I still have to learn some stuff about you, but you seem driven, smart, and hardworking, and that was her. So does that nail you?
No, not at all. I'm very dumb and I'm slow. I'm just kidding. Thank you for the compliment.
Yeah, so I had to leave the dogs at home because she wanted to meet at Starbucks. Out of all the
Yes.
coffee, out of all these cool little coffee houses in St. Pete, she picks a Starbucks because that's the only one that she knows that she likes. She gets the same thing every single time.
All right, fair enough.
So fair enough. We'll get to On This Day this morning. Chris McCarty will not be by today. He will be back on tomorrow. And Michael, Carrie, good morning. Adam, how are? Oh shoot, Adam, you got to get some script to me, or have I not checked my messages in a while? I think I have some work to do for you. All right. First of all, the reason that we're so late today, and by we I mean me, is because how you have those decisions in life, those turning points in life?
Yes.
Well, I made a decision this morning, or we made a decision yesterday that was pretty dumb in hindsight. That was thinking that the cable company could get in and get out the time that they said they would.
Of course not.
Which then would give me just enough time to get to work on time. Well, that was a big mistake. Waiting for them starting at 8 o'clock this morning. They said it might be closer to 9, so we get the phone call at 9 o'clock that they're on their way. All right? Now it's time to play. What time did they get there? I think we got the phone call at 9 o'clock. They were on their way.
11:30. Is that what time it was?
No, 9:25. He was there within 25 minutes.
Oh.
But then set up the first box, right? So he has to go through his whole thing trying to figure out what's going on. So he switches out the box. Then this starts downloading some software, and he goes, "Oh wow, this could take a little while." So he sits there. Sitting there in awkward silence. Awkward silence.
Yes.
So I couldn't put the TV on for him, and for 15 minutes, and I offered him, to make him breakfast and everything, and I offered him beer. No, nothing. So about 15 minutes into this process, he goes, "Well, this is taking a long time. I'll be back." So he goes and gets a coffee or something. He comes back in like 15 minutes, and the machine has not advanced at all, the download, right? And he goes, I know this can take a long time, but this doesn't seem right. Let me switch out boxes again. So I'm sitting there going, all right, okay, let's go. So he switches out boxes again, runs through the process, and it does ultimately work. But still, that was another 20 or 30 minutes on top of that, and then got on the road. So then I'm feeling bad for myself, right, because I'm so late. But as I get to the Howard Franklin, and for those of you not here in the Bay Area, the Howard Franklin is one of the main three bridges that goes. It's the one in the middle that cuts the bay. Mm-hmm. And good morning, Jeff. As I get to the bridge, I look on the other lane coming into St. Pete, and there's a bad accident there. At least a lane or two is blocked, and I'm looking at that line that's already back at the hump, and you can tell it's a brand new accident, and probably by now it's backed up into Tampa. And I'm going, okay, At least I'm not sitting in that. I could have be sitting in that this morning, or sitting on the couch in awkward silence with the cable guy, who'd been with Spectrum, by the way, for 12 years. You know, you had to strike up a conversation, had to do something, learn a little bit about the guy. That was about it. He was a quiet man. So anyway, afternoon, screw you, Jeff. He said, good morning, guys. Then he said, afternoon, my mistake. No, it's my mistake. It should have been good morning, Jeff. But welcome to the show. All right, let's get to On This Day before we hit some of the stuff you should know in the news. And I have a great story, as you can see in the body and the heading. Let me welcome in our sponsor for the first 15 minutes.
Yes, please.
Of the show, and because I'm very excited. There we go. Single Source Insurance with their guy.
There he is.
Look at that. Look at that fanciness. Only get a little. Oh, maybe we'll put him up there. Maybe he looks better right above your head. Let's see.
You could just put him right on me, and I'll talk.
Oh, he looks good. He looks good on your desk there.
Please just leave him on me the whole show.
There we go.
Hello.
We'll put him right over here.
Perfect.
And then in this shot, he covers you over here.
There we go.
And then back here, he's your sidekick. Morning, Steve. Morning, Paul. How is everybody? Oh, Steve, I forgot to. I need to message you after the show, and catch up on some. Catch up on some business there. All right.
I'm just here for insurance.
All right. Well, let's get to On This Day, and then we'll get to Sam's quote of the day. Mm-hmm. Right at the top of the headline there from history.com, the Apollo 13 returns to Earth safe and sound.
Oh, now it's on the screen. There you go.
Hey,
he's in the astronaut land.
That's perfect.
It looks like he fits in, honestly.
Yeah, perfect. There we go. That's the members of the Apollo 13 there. All right, now that's getting in my way. Now I got to do something about it. You come over there. You hang out right there, buddy.
Single Source, we love you. I promise that this is, we love you so much. Thank you for the sponsorship.
I hope they're not regretting their decision.
No.
All right, so we know about that. We talked about Apollo 13 the other day. On this day in 1783, Colbert launches raid on Fort Carlos in Arkansas.
Stephen Colbert?
I think
that's amazing.
So. On this day in 1783. It was probably pronounced Colbert.
Probably.
Which American muscle car was introduced on this day in 1964? The Ford Mustang. And they debuted it at the World's Fair.
That's cool.
Bay of Pig invasion.
General Hospital airs 10,000th episode in 2002. How many episodes have there been since then? 10,000.
That's crazy. It's probably been another 5,000 or more since then.
Oh my goodness.
That is insane.
I think it's the top one. Like, I think it's the number one, like, most ever. Sure.
Running show, the oldest running show or something like that. Longest running show.
I think so.
Probably. Let's see. On this day in 1961, Bay of Pigs invasion begins. And my knowledge of the Bay of Pigs is really through a Cuban guy that I once knew. I dated a Cuban girl a long time ago, and her father. So here's what I know of the Bay of Pigs. He tells me the reason that most Cubans are Republicans is because of John F. Kennedy. Because and this is it. You know what I probably should do is go back through and read all of this afterwards and see how accurate it is. But basically, from what he told me. The Americans, Fidel Castro had taken over. He was anti-American. The Americans were going to back some rebels. And so we trained some rebels, like 1,000 guys or something like that, 1,000, 2,000 people. And there was supposed to be this invasion. They're supposed to, start their thing. And then the other Cuban people would rise up was the plan. And they would get support from the Americans. Well, John F. Kennedy inherited that plan from Dwight Eisenhower. The year prior. And I don't know if there's any politics or how that played in, or if, maybe he didn't like this plan at all. Well, So when this group of 1,000, 2,000 Cubans rose up to try to rebel against, Fidel Castro, John F. Kennedy, the military wasn't there for them. With the air support, the naval support was not there for them. And so they either were slaughtered or arrested and put in prison for like the rest of their lives. So this is the perspective of, like I said, one Cuban man. So I don't, and he said that's the reason that most Cubans are Republicans, is because in that moment, most Cubans feel like the Americans set up, John F. Kennedy set up those people and then weren't there for them. And that is, effed up. So that's my
interesting.
I don't know if it is interesting. I don't even know if it's right.
That is it's interesting. I don't know how factual it is, but it's very interesting.
So, okay, this Bay of Pigs invasion begins with a CIA financed and trained group of Cuban refugees land in Cuba and attempts to topple the communist government. Okay, well, at least that part's right. I don't know. The failure at the Bay of Pigs cost the United States dearly. Castro used the attack by the Yankee imperialists to solidify his power in Cuba. He requested. Kennedy tried to redeem himself by publicly accepting blame for the attack and its subsequent failure, but the botched mission left the young president looking vulnerable and indecisive.
This might be a stupid question, but how old was he when he got inaugurated?
Ooh, that's a great trivia question.
It is. I don't know. I'm sure you have to be at least 35, right?
Right.
So in his late 30s, probably. I can Google it.
All right, well, yeah. All right, so I'm going to go with 43.
Okay, I'll go with 38.
All right.
Just as a guess.
All right. How old was Kennedy when he got...
Let me see.
When he became president or when he was inaugurated?
Oh my God, you're right. 43.
Yes.
How did you know that? You definitely knew that.
No, it was a guess.
Wow, good guess.
I thought it was in his early 40s. I didn't think it was in his 30s. So I was just I was going back and forth between 42, 43, and that's what I landed on.
Interesting.
So the universe channeled the right answer through me. I did not know the answer. All right, what else? A single horsehair uncovers a murderer in 1936.
Oh my gosh.
A single horsehair. After a week of tracking down every conceivable lead, police finally find... Because it's 1936. When forensics, they don't have the technology we have now.
No.
The police finally find the evidence they need in order to break the case of Nancy Titterton's rape murder in New York City. Titterton, a novelist and the wife of NBC executive Louis... Okay, so this would have been humongous news if a novelist and the wife of an NBC executive were raped and strangled in her upscale home and a Beekman Place. In the morning of April 10th, 1936, the only clues left behind were a foot-long piece of cord that had been used to tie Titterton's hands and a single horsehair found on her bedspread. I'm assuming they eventually matched up the horsehair and got the guy.
Cool.
According to the headline. Unless you want me to keep reading just to see if, I didn't think so.
I'm getting a quote ready.
All right. Mike Schmidt hits 4 consecutive homers on this day in 1976.
General Hospital currently has 14,000 episodes.
14,000 episodes.
But it's
that is
not
amazing.
The longest running. Guiding Light is the longest running.
How many episodes are they at?
I don't know if it's still going on. It might still be going on. It has longest 18,000.
Oh wow.
18,000 episodes. Can you imagine trying to start from the
yeah.
first episode?
You're not catching up. You're not binging
no,
that
you're
one.
Never catching up.
You're binging that in hell is where you're binging that. Wherever you end up for eternity, that's where you're binging that.
Man.
Tax day is today. All right, let's get to your quote of the day, Sam.
Okay, my quote of the day is, this is funny, the hardest thing to understand in the world is the income tax. And that's by Albert Einstein.
What is it?
The hardest thing to understand in the world is the income tax.
Yeah.
That's what they decided to put as the quote of the day, but it's very relevant on tax day.
That'll be interesting to see if a president one of these days simplifies the tax code. They've talked about it before. You have groups out there really pushing for, was it flat tax, I think is one, where it's very simple. You don't mess around, and that's it. And, they've talked before in the past about being able to file your taxes on a postcard or one piece of paper or something like that.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, we'll see.
But that would also, there's a reason why they get paid so much, the The people who do tax, accountants. Because, I mean, like, good on them.
Well, I mean, you're right. If they were to simplify it, I guess the accountants would have to find another line of work.
No, not even that. They would just have to be more efficient with it because more people could do their taxes and they wouldn't be like getting as much business, you know? Yeah,
I guess you'd have to find. Well, here's the thing. The reason that the tax code's so big is because, you know, over the years, every cycle you have these groups that get in and they get their congressmen to make sure they pass some kind of a loophole. So back in their home state of wherever, they're exempt from this because of that. And year after year after year after year of that. And next thing you know, you've got this this briar patch. Wait, is that even right? Is that racially insensitive to even bring up that movie anymore?
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. It's something entangled and
a briar patch.
All right, come up with a better metaphor.
I can't, but that was so funny.
You know, so yeah, we are mired down. I think that's pretty good in the thicket.
Okay.
Sharon says she likes it when we are late because she gets to hear more when she's on break. Matt says, wanted me to tell you that actually he believes that question was one of the trivia questions I asked within the last month. That's how I know the answer.
The truth's revealed.
Wait, Google, he says, actually the question was, who was the youngest inaugurated? And that's Obama now, right?
No, Obama was 44, wasn't he? JFK was 43.
All right.
He could, maybe he was 43.
The youngest.
And Eisenhower was the oldest.
President inaugurated.
Okay.
At the time of his inauguration. Theodore Roosevelt.
Really?
This is how old. Wait.
The oldest is Trump now? Oh my God.
Yes. This is how old Lyndon B. Johnson was at the time of his inauguration. The youngest person to assume the office was Theodore Roosevelt, who became president at the age of 42, 322. Following William McKinley's assassination, the oldest was Donald Trump, who was 70.
That's crazy. That is insane. I just learned something new.
Hey, well, my dumb, I would have, if you would have asked me who was the youngest president ever inaugurated, I might have guessed Obama. And then I would have, if it wasn't right, I would have guessed Kennedy. I don't know why I didn't know it was Theodore Roosevelt. I'm just, community college dropout. That explains a lot.
I believe Trump is 70 years old.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is no matter who would have won out of those two, he or Clinton, either one of them would have become the oldest, which I thought was kind of a cool thing. Bye, Sam.
Bye. That's crazy.
See you tomorrow. I'll try to be on time.
You're fine.
But one of the cool things that came out, one of the only cool things that came out of that election cycle was, if you want to think back on it, age was never an issue. You know, you had two people vying to become the oldest president of all time elected, and age was never an issue. Maybe that's because there were so many other glaring issues that we never got around to it. If it would have been a normal cycle, that we would have brought up age at some point. But let me get to a couple of the things that I brought up today, and let's see. I feel like there was something personal I wanted to share with you guys this morning. No, please don't. Just stick to the topics of the day. All right. Oh, well. Here is a fantastic story coming out of Hernando County. Like I said in the body, I'm not being sarcastic, because normally if I'm saying, hey, here's a fantastic story coming out of Hernando County or Pasco County or Polk County, I'll be being sarcastic in that moment. Hey, Tam. But this is awesome. So this is a story about these two kids right here. These two kids right here. Nice little shot. And the headline, Hernando special needs students named prom king and queen, coming from Bay News 9. Now, here's what I think makes this story even more special. This isn't like an honorary, prom king and queen type of situation. These two kids campaigned to be voted onto the court and to be voted king and queen, and got voted in. The kids of the school did it. They didn't. It wasn't one of these things where somebody else was just trying to be nice and they did this, and it's a good, warm, which is still a great story. Don't get me wrong. Still a great story. All right, I'm not trying to be there we go. That sounds much better. I'm not trying to be, whatever. I'm just saying, how cool is it that these two kids campaigned just like any other kid would, and they end up winning. Now, there was a facilitator of this. There was somebody who got them two together, I believe. Prom is a milestone for many high school students in the senior class at Hernando County's Central High School. Wanted to make sure this year's event would be one that two of their classmates would always remember. It started with when an ESE student, Jordan Heinrich, asked fellow ESE student Caitlin, I don't know how to say her last name, Isbrand, to prom. Quote, Caitlin really wanted to go to prom, so I knew Jordan had really wanted to ask her. And we talked about, hey, Jordan, would you like to go to prom with Caitlin? Yes. So we helped him make the poster. All right. Then Caitlin had her eyes set on the. So anyway, one girl wanted to go. The other kid wanted to ask her, come to find out. And so, somebody played matchmaker. And then from there, they decided that wasn't going to be good enough just to go to prom together. They wanted to get on the court and wanted to be a king and queen. So they went on a campaign, handed out cookies, lollipops, asked the students to vote for them. And in the end, boom, they did. How great is that? Love that story. Love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you so much for being a part of the, joining me every single day or stopping by, just making sure I'm okay. I don't know. Friends and family. A weird, I don't know why I pulled this out. I think initially I thought this story was a little bit better than it actually was. It is a college professor giving her students extra credit for going on dates. It's not that simple. It's not just that. So let me explain a little bit, and I want to say thank you once again to Single Source Insurance. Single Source, thank you for being a part of the Wake.Show. Really appreciate that. Make sure you stop by singlesourceins.com and see how they can help you out. All right. So what was interesting about this is it's kind of a social experiment because it's not a college professor simply giving out credit for you going out on dates on a Friday night. There is a couple of guidelines. One is I think you have to ask a person out. It's not somebody asks you out so you're going to get credit for it. You have to ask somebody out. And two, there can't be any alcohol involved. And three, no physical intimacy, not even kissing, involved in this particular date. And so if you do that, then you end up getting credit. About 12 years ago, this is coming out of Boston College, philosophy professor Carrie Cronin added an unorthodox task to her syllabus. Anyway, I don't need to run through all this, but one of the interesting things that I did find in this story is that this seems to be the norm, like how things seem to really be shifting from the last generation, I guess would be mine, Gen X, to the millennials and beyond, and that a lot of people are not, hey, whoever's lighting up the smiley faces, thank you. I don't know if it's you, Dino, or Robert, but thank you very much for all the laughs and the smiley faces and the hearts. It makes a man feel good on this side of the internet. Where was I? What was I jack-jawing about? Let me get comfortable. Now it's just me and you. You and me. You and me. I don't even have the dogs in here today. Chris McCarty will be back tomorrow. I think we got a couple of minutes before I have to go meet up with Danielle. I'm really excited. I hate that I do not keep in better touch with those people that I once worked with at Cox Media Group because I love them. They're really my friends. But after, I don't know. After you get fired, then, things are a little, it's me. It's not them. It's me. Because I've never done a good job with keeping in touch with any of my friends. Going back to high school, my BFFs from my childhood. So it's just me. All right, enough about that nonsense. So getting back to this, one of the things that came out of the story that I thought was interesting is that more and more millennials, dates are not Friday night, Saturday night, alcohol's included, and God knows, it's this race between the guy trying to, get you in bed and get a woman in bed and her figuring out whether or not she's going to do it or not. It's become a lot more dialed down. and become more like this, where people are going for coffee, where they're meeting on a Sunday afternoon and doing something, getting coffee, doing something that does not include alcohol and doesn't have that same pressure of, oh, this night is leading to, will I go home with him? Will he not? Will she not go home with me? That kind of stuff. So that's what I thought was kind of interesting coming out of that story. We do have, here's something a little bit more heavy, and I don't know. I don't like to do the heavy stuff too much by myself, only because I just think it's better conversation. And within that conversation, it's easier to find those moments to be lighthearted, where if you're doing it by yourself, you have to walk, you got to be careful, not say the wrong thing at the wrong time. But it has to do with gangs, gang members, black gang members versus white suicide victims. Hold on, stay with me. Coming from TampaBay.com. Police officer was fired. So let me get to what set this up. A police officer was fired for a post he was making under another name. It wasn't his name, but they tracked it back to him. And one of the things he said, talking about gangs. So the complaint stemmed from comments that this guy made on Facebook in December using the fake name David Gee in response to this prompt from a Facebook user, Alexis Lush. So I want to talk about the prompt a little bit because it actually made me go, I never saw it that way. So here's the prompt. How come we show so much sympathy to the teen from the suburbs who chooses suicide as a way to stop bullies, but we show no sympathy to the teen from the hood that chooses to join a gang in order to stop being bullied? Isn't an innocent life lost in that case as well? So that's their argument, is on one side of the tracks, you'll have somebody who in those moments where those bullies are too much, life is too much, they just take their own lives. And on another side of the tracks, you have those that in those moments, to guard against that, they join gangs. Do you feel safe in numbers? So that I want to throw out to you guys just to chew on for a second, because I want to know your thoughts. Put them in the comment section here. Do you think that is a legitimate? Are we comparing apples to apples in that moment, or not? Now, this guy was fired because he jumped in there and said that gang members, they are, quote, they are a lost cause. He said of the gang members, referring to where they live as the ghetto, they deserve death or prison. There's no saving them. So that's why he ended up ultimately getting fired. He was a 4-year veteran from the force, so on and so forth. So whether or not he should have or shouldn't have been, I guess, if you guys want to talk about that, that's fine. But we obviously don't know his whole record and all that kind of stuff. So the department let him go. That being said, are we looking at similar issues or similar driving forces that end up in two different places? One ends up in suicide. The other one ends up in a gang as a gang member. I don't know. Like I said, when I saw this, it just made me go, and it felt like in that moment, like I had turned like a light was shined out, shown. The light was. So, Steve, I think it depends on who you're looking at. I volunteer with at-risk inner-city youth, and it is definitely something that is very heart-wrenching when they are involved in gang life to deal with. But they get into that gang life, right, because for whatever external circumstances, kind of, you've got some choices to make there early on, right? I don't know enough about this, and I'm going to sit here, and I do not mind being the ignorant one asking the questions. So it seems very reasonable to me that there is something to this quote, this setup. How come so much sympathy is shown to a teen from the suburbs who chooses suicide as a way to stop bullies, but no sympathy to the teen from the hood that chooses to join a gang in order to protect against their bullies? Well, I can tell you why there's no sympathy, because one is that person found their only place out was to exit this life, and a lot of people feel like this is very precious. You don't get another shot at this, and to get to that point where you go, screw it, I'm out, is very depressing, and so there's a lot of that emotion that goes along with it. The kid, because the kid that ends up in the gang. Well, those gangs are, even though he might be coming into that gang for a certain amount of protection and security that he does not have outside of that gang, ultimately the gangs are bullies themselves that can easily be the ones that are forcing others to choose that exit only strategy. So that's why I'm not saying that this person doesn't have a point. Like I feel like they do have a great point. But the reason that we don't feel the same way is because they just don't come off the same way. One, that's like the difference between somebody who commits suicide versus somebody who takes out a group of people first and then commits suicide. So if you're going to lash out at society, if you're going to come back at other people and hurt them, it's harder, even though in the end, it might be like intellectually, academically, we can break this down and go, there were some very similar things between those two kids, the one that killed himself versus the one that joined the gang. But the one that joined the gang will likely lead to, continuing a cycle as they inflict the havoc on their communities that gangs have a tendency to do in their communities. So this is not my expertise. I just like to get the conversation rolling and see what you guys come up with. Robert, every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future. One of my favorite quotes. I like that one too, Robert. Every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future. Love it. James, good morning to you too, sir. Is it weird that we're living in a time where, like, everybody, not just rich people and mobsters, need to shred their documents, but everybody needs to shred their documents? I guess it's only weird if you're old enough. If you're young enough, then it's just normal because your data is flying everywhere. Steve, depending on why they are joining, some feel it's necessary to join. Not all, but some really latch on and take the opportunity when given. Lots aren't given opportunity. With the kids from the burbs, a lot of times they have options and just take it for granted. But I think we make some assumptions there. We think because the kids in the burbs have more opportunities, but you don't know the family structure. You don't know what is happening behind closed doors that is shutting psychologically door after door after door in that kid's head as they try to perfect their child. Sorry, I'm just going down one path. But maybe you're right, Steve. I don't know. I don't have any. All right, so back to the shredding thing. I guess it's a big deal now. I guess you can't just be throwing your shit away anymore. You have to shred documents that have information on it. So here you go. It is Operation Shredding. ABC Action News is taking action for your safety with Operation Shredding. Bring up to 5 boxes of documents, papers, and receipts that have your credit card numbers or other personal information on them. We will shred them all for free. Huh. From what I understand, this is kind of expensive otherwise, and that's why this is kind of a big deal, why am I sharing it with you. You can go to abcactionnews.com/shredding if you want the details on when this is happening. So this is this story about, right, where are we? Oh, yeah, I couldn't come up with a great headline for this because, well, you'll see in a second. It's hilarious. When a police officer asks for your age, replying fucking 12 with a beer in your hand is probably not the best response. Miramar Beach, Florida. A 19-year-old spring breaker caught up caught with beer, was arrested after cursing at a deputy and telling him he can say whatever he wants because of free speech. I think we need, I don't know, once a month, once a quarter or something. We need to talk about free speech, what free speech really means in America. Also, we need to really take the word free and freedom out of a lot of things in America too, because those are idealistic concepts. But everything should be limited. I'm going to fight for my limited freedoms. 19-year-old spring breaker. According to a report from Walton County Sheriff's Office, a deputy observed a large gathering on the beach in front of a condominium complex and approached the kids. The crowd began to disperse, and when the 19-year-old man saw the cop, he turned to the left to try to hide the beer he was holding in his right hand. The deputy asked him how old he was. The man said, "Fucking 12." He repeated the phrase as he was being escorted off the beach. The man added that he has freedom of speech and can say whatever he wishes. Dispatch advised the deputy the man was 19 and he was arrested for possession of alcohol by a person under the age of 21. Oh, Florida. Isn't spring break over? What month are we in? Oh, I guess we got another. I don't know. We should be out of this. About out of it anyway. All right. Thank you so much. Sorry for being late today again. I'm going to blame that on a spectrum. Appreciate you guys being here every day. We've got a 100th episode show right around the corner that I'm very excited about, that I need to make sure I handle some stuff. Thank you so much to Single Source Insurance for being a part of the Wake.Show right now. Make sure you follow along at the Wake.Show on Facebook. Also, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow along on Twitter and Periscope as well. Have a great day. Be safe, be kind, be good to your fellow neighbor, and most importantly, let your crazy breathe. What did I do with my clouds? No, that's not it. Well, all right, we can end on that. That's fine. Or did I get rid of the clouds?